it's Oaf here at OG Oaf Gaming. Now, normally this is not how I would present one of my Zelda theories. This is more of a spur of the moment and a top of the head kind of thinking, just like what we did with the Gustav thinking. But for this theory in particular, it's been like a monkey on my back ever since I saw the trailer of Age of Imprisonment during the partner showcase. And today's little crackpot presentation of a quick shot of a theory is how the tapestry shown in Breath of the Wild will show in full in Age of Imprisonment. So what I mean by this is the tapestry from Breath of the Wild. Very detailed, very nice, so exquisite and so crisp. Oh yes, I want it hanging on my wall, boss. But I don't think you guys realize that we were given quite exactly what's going to happen in this game in the past couple of games. So we have the words of King Rome Bosphoramus Hyrule himself.
Stories of Ganon were passed from generation to generation in the form of legends and fairy tales. But there was also a prophecy. The signs of a resurrection of Calamity Ganon are clear, and the power to oppose it lies dormant beneath the ground.
The power to oppose it lays dormant beneath the ground. And myself, Oaf, yes me, I was thinking the same thing that tons of you guys were thinking. It was either Ganondorf, which doesn't really make sense, that Ganondorf would be the opposing force that would stop himself, or that it would be Rauru's arm. We were wrong. It's neither of those. It's the ancient hero. The ancient Zonai hero. You know the hero's aspect you get in Tears of the Kingdom? This guy? Yeah, that one? That's who this is. And that's who is also here. So what I'm proposing is, this ancient hero is going to team up with Zelda from the future, aka the same Zelda from Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, who was sent back in time to the ancient past to this moment. And this event of the tapestry happens after Rauru has sealed Ganondorf. I'll more than likely give a couple of examples that I made during the partner showcase, but all of this just straight up goes, like, all of the credit for the thinking on this straight up just goes to our good friend Zoe, the Dream Shrine MPDG here on YouTube, as well as Lowrolling Historian and Dan the Man. I'm more than likely going to be giving the links in my description, if not on screen now. But talking with them over these past few years, we called it. All four of us. Not a joke. Everything from this ancient hero aspect that we saw in Tears of the Kingdom is the same one on the tapestry in Breath of the Wild, which is the same Zonai construct we saw in the trailer. The one that's associated with Fi's theme. And the reason why that would be important is Sonia and Rauru are dead. They sealed away Ganondorf Dragmire underground. Cool. But that's not going to stop him. He's going to come back with a vengeance. Ergo, the first incursion of the Calamity, meaning the first calamitous form, which we see not only in Breath of the Wild, but as depicted on the tapestry. In this battle that will happen in Age of Calamity is Zelda from Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, with her sealing power. The Ancient Hero Construct, which is the robotic construct version of the Ancient Hero aspect, bound by his soul. This soul of the Ancient Hero aspect is also bound with the undying spirit of the hero, aka the soul of Sky, which is also connected to the living force of the Master Sword, aka the Sword Spirit Fi. This would also be the first time the Master Sword was pulled after Skyward Sword. Now, full stop, you might be wondering, but wait, the Master Sword, really? Yes. This game is also going to prove that there was always a two Master Sword theory as confirmed. The Master Sword that is broken from the future in Tears of the Kingdom would show up towards the end of this game, in which everything is done. The final battle against Ganondorf's calamitous form, Rauru, Sonia, everything is done. And then the Master Sword that is broken in the future shows up, and Zelda rests with it to heal it for all time until Link of the Heir of Wilds and Tears can come forth and pull it and free her. But you might be asking, what about that second sword? The way I always describe it is, there's one Master Sword that was always hidden, the one that was put away in its pedestal at the end of Skyward Sword. That one would lay in hiding until the events of Ocarina of Time. But it was always that one thing of, if Rauru made the Temple of Time, how did he put the sword inside of the temple? He didn't. It was this guy. This ancient hero construct. This guy on the tapestry. The way the events are going to pan out is, Zelda shows up in the ancient past. Rauru and Sonia talk with her, help her, and try to find a way home, like how we saw in the memories. We see the Battle of the Imprisoning War. We see the involvement of the sages and how they got not only their sage titles, but their masks. Cue the fleeing Gerudo warrior and how she's running away. Because that immediately came to mind, oh god, she's the Gerudo sage, the Sage of Lightning, and informed Rauru of how the last free Gerudo settlement in the desert has fallen under Ganondorf's control. She's leading the resistance of the Gerudo warriors against Ganondorf. The next part is, you see this little shot with these guys being what seems like corrupted or possessed next to the robots? I have the reason to believe, and again, this is all thank you, via help and findings and understandings and talkings and more with my good buddy, Laurelian historian, Dan the Man, and also Zoe. A big inspiration for this next part was Skyrim and the Snow Elves. If you don't know anything about Skyrim and the Snow Elves and Blackreach, I'm not going to bore you to death. But what essentially it is, there was this conflict in ancient times between the dwarves, who lived underground and had this high-tech society, and the Snow Elves that lived on the surface but went underground because they were curious about the dwarven mechanicians, and one thing led to another and there was a slaughter, and the Snow Elves went from being this rich, smart, sophisticated society to being this blind and pale monster people underground. And then you stop and you sit, you're like, okay, well, who are those guys? Those are the warriors of the royal family of King Rauru and Queen Sonia. Okay, so they're the attendants of the royal family of Hyrule. Yeah, those are Sheikah warriors on the surface. As we know, in the Sheikah clan, there are Sheikah monks, and there are Sheikah warriors. The Sheikah monks are the ones that eventually mummify themselves and then pass on their knowledge to the next hero, so on and so forth, as we saw with Breath of the Wild. But then there's the Sheikah warriors, the ones that are more active. These Sheikah warriors were the ones serving the royal family on the surface. These are the ones that got turned into Yiga. Meanwhile, the Sheikah of Old Ways and Kakariko, well, it would more or less be the Sheikah of New Ways and the blue of Kakariko instead of the Sheikah of Old Ways and red. The Sheikah of Blue and Kakariko that would follow the crown in the future are the Sheikah of Underground that helped make the constructs, make the robots, who followed the Bargainer statues, and are very likely going to be seeing in this game the emergence of the Guardians, the Divine Beasts, and the Tech. Another shout out to my buddy Laurelian Historian, who showed in this shot in particular, you could see one of the castle's pillars from Breath of the Wild. It's making me think of an Occam's razor kind of situation. Zelda of the future goes back in time to warn everybody about Ganondorf's ploy and how he's going to turn into the Calamity. In the saying that, Rauru and Sonia go underground with Zelda to meet up with Minoru, and doing so, they pass by all of these mines and factories and come to find out that's the Sheikah monks. So if it's not yet apparent already, you could find it on my Twitch, you could find it on my YouTube via the Partner Showcase VOD, or I'm not sure if I'm actually going to include the clip, but we sat there and I kind of called it, as in like, meaning I called how this game is going to go. Start off, Zelda shows up in the ancient past in front of Rauru and Sonia. She helps both of them. Sonia dies. Zelda now helps Rauru stop Ganondorf with the help of the sages. Everyone is successful, Rauru dies. The moment that Rauru and Sonia are now both dead, Ganondorf is sealed, and Zelda as well as the sages are now done. Inside of the Shrine of Awakening, the ancient hero construct pieces itself together with the help of not just the undying spirit of the hero of Sky, but also the undying spirit of Fi. He comes back to life and goes and searches for her deep in the woods. He helps Zelda stop the new form of Ganondorf, the calamitous form, the one on the tapestry. And, to make it even sweeter, how does this even work? Zelda already asked for the help of the sages. Those sages would be basically in charge of the Divine Beast now. And how would that happen? Zelda warned everyone. And in this ancient time, the Sheikah are more than likely still thriving, but in private, underground, within the shadows, because they are the royal family's protectors ruling from within the shadows, and literally thrive underground because that's where Hyrule's history of war and bloodshed is. If it's not already apparent where I'm getting with this, we might have a connection between Minoru, Rauru's older sister. We might have a connection between Minoru and the Sheikah underground, making these robots. The Sheikah make their robots based on the Zonai design, since the Zonai are all gone. I will definitely try to work on this more and fully fledge it out, but where I'm getting at this is the ancient hero aspect is going to show up. Before the Broken Master Sword shows up through time, we're going to have to stop Ganondorf not only in his Gerudo form, but probably in his Malice form. And finally, to top all this off, to make it just a little bit sweeter, we already know how Age of Imprisonment is going to end. We already know how it's going to start. We already kind of know how 75% of this game is going to go. But that extra 25% is right here. The tapestry. I'll end this video with some wise words from King Rhoam Bosphoramus Hyrule. Thanks, guys.